Hi, and welcome to another edition of Onside SA, where we've seen a slaughter of the last one standing for the results over the weekend. Budge. Who?
Devastation, Paul, and it should have been more.
Yeah, Man United.
Man United were lucky.
Yeah.
The unluckiest guy of the lot, obviously the Spurs, is the guy that was on it was Mark David Hensey on Brighton. How lucky was he? He went Brighton. You know, Brighton, how far should Brighton have won on Saturday?
Yeah, that's right. They should have won. But the teams that took people through, Man United, very lucky.
Yeah.
Everton, Southampton, Leeds, Aston Villa, and Liverpool.
Yeah.
44 left out of 393.
Yeah, well, we started with just under 470, Paul. So it's the biggest smash we've ever had.
Wow,
I know it was early
big.
week, but that was
big.
destruction.
Some guys of those 44 left have got 2 picks.
Yeah.
Powers,
Yeah.
Dick Goss,
Dave, yeah.
yeah, Ernie Wallace. He's always
Skipper,
there,
well,
Skip.
first winner of ours.
Don Hamilton, the Scottish man.
Yeah.
And there are 2 ladies in.
Yeah.
Renee Ruiz.
Georgie's girlfriend. Renee got to the last 8 last time, and Milan Lavo, she got to the last 33. She's had a good run over the years.
They should maybe tip to Stevie B, those 2 girls, you know?
Could well be, yeah.
Okay, I see Mood the Dude still in. Gary Citron. Sean Phillips. Kevin Ross. Clive Mayfield.
Yeah, all your
Ray
mates,
Lovitz,
Paul.
Robbie Burns, Robbie Martin, the mayor, and Larry Weinstein.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
all your mates, Paul. So I don't know how many side bets you've had with them, but I'm sure
nothing.
they'll
Thank
be.
goodness. Thank goodness, nothing.
Yeah.
Who's favourite to win it?
Paul, you know, just looking at what's gone through, there's a couple of guys I fancy. I like Jesse Nagel. You know, Jesse works for Hollywood, very shrewd. You know, Miten Haralal. Miten's been from the beginning. He loves passionate sportsmen. Nikesha Joda, he went closer last time. He's always there. And I got a lurker, one of my boys, Gary Smith from a Durban North Toad. A lot of arguments and banter debates.
No chance.
Gary will go close, Paul. Be with me.
Okay, well, don't forget, get your bets in on time. 44 of you left. Has gone quickly. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be starting a new one. I can see it. We get these results. But let's see if we get old Stevie B. Stevie B's in London. Stevie, you about?
I am. Good morning.
Morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm very well.
Excellent.
Glad you missed the first part of the top of the show for the last one standing, Steve. So you know what's happened. Don't ever pick Spurs.
Let's be honest. Tottenham have let me down more times than any other club, and I should have known. But VAR did for me.
Yeah,
and you know, what can I say? You know.
I want to just touch on that, Steve, quickly before we get into some other topics. I've heard that the referees are going to have a much more lenient approach now. They've decided after the debacles, the VAR, the penalties, the hands. What's the latest from London?
Well, I'm not sure that it's you know, the referees don't really have discretion, because if it's referred up the line, obviously with the way the rules are interpreted now, the VAR judge will turn around and say no, it's handball. You've got to give it. So. Last year, I think I read that there was something like 15 similar handballs given in the whole season. So far, in 3 weeks, we've had 6. So I think they may well look to review it, but I don't think it's up to the referee's discretion.
Maybe I just picked up on Stompy's. I heard it somewhere that the referees are going to have a much more lenient approach, not going to be so firm on it, because we're becoming the laughing stock, the British football. I know VAR's all over the place, but every presenter, from Gary Neville to Shearer to anybody. Hey, Budge?
Yeah, it's just become a joke, Paul. The Spurs one, I think, highlighted, that was the end of it.
Yeah.
Sure, he missed the flight, but he's not even looking at the ball. It hits him behind.
Yeah.
That's not a penalty. It doesn't matter who you support.
Yeah.
It's just a no-go, and giving that, I think, is just, that's the can of worms.
Budge, we've given away 2, and Stevie, the one we were 5-1 up.
Against Southampton.
2 of our players kicked it, the ball went straight up, hit the one guy's hand, penalty. You know, and I'm just using Spurs examples. There are other examples that are.
Well, the Palace one against Everton was just as bad. He's coming across.
There have been too many. Look, the old rule, which you know was around for decades, was, you know, if it was hand to ball, then it's handball. If it was ball to hand, then it wasn't. And, you know, and it was quite simple. And I just, you know, then they brought the rule in last year where for attacking player, if it hits the attacking player arm at any point in the build-up to the goal, it was disallowed. So, you know, they seem to have stopped that one. But they do need to look at it again.
Steve, just touching on that attacking player, what about the third goal for Chelsea?
Yeah.
That's a handball, if strictly to the rules. Do you know, I don't know what it's like over in the UK, Steve, but here, I'm surrounded by football friends, pundits. British football is a religion in this country.
Sure.
And every guy to a man says we can't go on like this.
Yeah.
Is it the same in England?
No, absolutely. I mean, you watch, as I say, you refer to the pundits after the games. I mean, they just think it's crazy. The managers have to be careful what they say.
Yeah.
So Roy Hodgson, who's normally relatively mild in interviews, was outraged by it, and you can understand that. And I think that you would hope that the powers that be would realise that it is spoiling games, and there's a huge amount at stake, as we know, with the Premier League and sort of money and everything, and it is just spoiling things. So we'll see. But whether or not they could affect the rule change mid-season remains to be
Well,
seen.
they've got to change it. You look at it this way. You want to play a side that's got Andy Carroll and two wingers, and you just throw them across. You can let a hand everywhere. A header's going to come off a hand.
Yeah.
That's not football. That's no good, Just not good for the game. But anyway...
Yeah, Steve, potential signings, only a few days left. What have you heard?
Well, this whole sort of saga with Jadon Sancho just seems to be rolling on. I mean, it's just, Dortmund keeps sort of saying no, but United seem to be persevering with it. They've been after him the whole window, and we've got 5 days or 4 days left now. So unless they just up their bid to exactly what Dortmund want, they're not going to let him go.
Yeah.
And I think Jadon Sancho is probably being advised carefully not to come out and say he'd like to join United, because he can't sort of burn his bridges where he is. But I think I read this morning that United might be turning their attention now to try and get Ousmane Dembele from Barcelona on loan.
Yeah.
But again, you just think, why aren't they linked with another centre half or another fullback? Because that's where their failings are at the moment. So everyone seems to be looking for centre backs. It's interesting. A lot of the clubs are still looking for centre backs.
That's right. You're right.
Good defending has gone out the window so far this season.
It proved to be such a massive swing for Liverpool. Tightening up a goalkeeper and a centre half, and I think every club, as you say, even Spurs are trying to get another point.
We are definitely.
Arsenal.
There is no question. There's no question. At the moment, there's open warfare in the club. With Scott Parker has made it very clear that we need a centre back, and the fans are very upset if we don't bring somebody in.
Yeah, I think you will be. What opened my eyes to what goes on in those things is that those two videos that I watched, Sunderland Till I Die and All or Nothing, the Spurs ones on Amazon Prime. And I've watched them, and you get a greater understanding of what happens when you're trying to buy a player, and the negotiations with the agents. It's a hell of a rigmarole, Steve.
Oh, absolutely. But also you find that it's not even up to the managers anymore.
Yes.
I know for our own club, Scott Parker might say the type of player he wants, but ultimately it's not necessarily up to him who the club go out and buy. So, you're finding this all over the place, that those people in the positions of power at the clubs are going out and buying players and saying to the coach or the manager, right, here you are, here's your forward or here's your centre back. And that just seems to be the way that in a lot of the clubs it goes.
Yeah. Let's just qualify one thing here, Budge. There is an international cut-off date and there's a local cut-off date. Is that accurate, Steve? Yeah,
so in the Premier League, the cut-off date is the 5th of October. But there is still activity. Premier League clubs can still loan or sell players to the EFL until the 12th. But ostensibly, the cut-off date for the Premier League is the 5th. So, we're talking 4 days' time, next Monday.
I see they let that boy go. A very good move by Aston Villa to get on loan the Chelsea.
Yeah, Ross Barkley.
They've done some good business. Obviously they threw a lot of money at it last season, and again, more than one or two haven't come off. But this season they've changed the sort of players they're after. And getting Ross Barkley alone, I think, is a very good move for them. You've got Barkley and Grealish playing together. Very creative, hard-working in the middle. So. I think they've been quite astute.
Yeah. All right. He's talking about astute. Chelsea have been astute in their signings. How do you see them going against Crystal Palace in the lunchtime kickoff?
I think they're it depends what Chelsea we're going to see. Yeah. The Chelsea, the first half at West Brom was just abysmal, and I think Frank Lampard probably really tore into them at half-time, and they played a lot better in the second half. I think that think that they'd probably be too strong. I think he still doesn't know what his best 11 is. He's got one or two injuries, but once they start coming back. But I think they might be a little bit too strong for Palace.
Okay, we're going with Chelsea then.
Yeah, Chelsea. Steve, Everton, they played a strong side last night when they beat West Ham in the League Cup. 1 or 2 injuries. Richarlison, I think Allen. Too good for Brighton?
I mean, that would be a worry to them, because I think Richarlison is a key player up front. Takes a lot of the hard work away from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think they'll be favourites. Brighton, have been playing some lovely football. I mean, they were very unlucky, as we know, against United. And away from home, they've got a great record. But Everton are scoring goals for fun. They've scored 20 goals in their 6 League and Cup games. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who I think will get a call up for England, has scored 8 League and Cup goals already this season. So I think they'll concede, but I just think they'll probably should score at least one more than Brighton.
All right. So one team that has been conceding lately is Man City. How many will they concede at Leeds?
Well, you sort of think that's got goals written all over it, because Leeds like to attack.
Yeah.
They were involved in a very close game at Sheffield United. I thought Sheffield United played very well in patches, probably a little bit unlucky to lose that.
Yeah.
City, I think, was shell-shocked. And, but obviously they just went straight out the next day and bought Ruben Diaz, the 60-odd million from Benfica, who's a pretty good rugged defender. So I don't think Pep would accept another poor performance. I think there'll be goals. I think City, again, they've got injuries, but I think they might just be a little bit too strong.
Yeah,
I think Leeds defence just not quite strong enough to hold City if they're if they start flowing.
All right, one team whose defence needs bolstering is yours. Steve, can you upset Fulham?
Wolves.
No, look, absolutely. I mean, I think without, I think the problem we've had is that we've conceded in the first 8 minutes in all our 3 games.
Yes, that's right.
And you can see the confidence draining from the team. We actually, against Villa, when you looked at the stats, we had something like 16 shots on goal, but only 3 on target, 65% possession. But we're just, at the back, they're playing with no confidence, and at the front, there just seems to be no cutting edge. So there's something missing. We brought in Ademola Lookman on loan from Leipzig, the ex-Everton player, to add a little bit of bite up front. But it's at the back. We are desperate to bring in at least one strong centre-half. So we're being linked with all sorts of players, but I think we have to bring somebody in soon.
You just got to keep it tight. Go to half-time with a clean sheet at least. You always concede.
I think giving away those early goals, I think it has, it's obviously playing, and they're just making, real basic mistakes. It's not as if, some of the goals scored against us have been, wonderful. They're just simple goals that should have been defended better. Yeah. So, it's not looking good at the moment, but somebody said to me, it can't get any worse. Well, actually, I think it can unless we bring the centre-half in. So. Yeah.
And Wolves are going to look to bounce back.
Wolves really surprised me. I thought they started okay at West Ham, but they were well beaten in the end. I mean, West Ham pretty much scored with almost every good attack, and Bowen and Antonio really ran them ragged. So worries me. Obviously, Nuno will really put a sort of rocket up their sort of backsides, and I think they'll bounce back, and I'd be very surprised if it's anything other than a Wolves win.
All right, now the big game of the weekend is Man United Tottenham. What's your call?
Yeah, well, funny. I mean, Tottenham watched the game against Chelsea. I mean, they rested players. Against Newcastle, they should have won comfortably. I thought they played very well in the first half against Newcastle. They played very well in the second half against Chelsea. Yeah. United, you're just not sure what you're going to get. I mean, going forward, they should be ripping teams apart, but it's the back that worries me. I think it'll be a close game. They normally are.
Yeah. I'm predicting a draw.
United can edge it, but that's the sort of game. It really could go either way.
Yeah.
It really could go either way.
And what I've seen, can't be with United, but obviously at Old Trafford, different story.
I'm predicting a draw. Spurs are a good team, and United on form a good team, but their form is shite.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Right. Steve, on to the Championship. Team that's come well lately is Blackburn Rovers at home to Cardiff City. How do you see it?
Yeah, they really have. I mean, they haven't strengthened a lot, but Tony Mowbray has got them playing really well. Yeah. They had a great win away from home at Derby last week. I mean, 4 goals to 0 and just ripped them to shreds in the first half. Cardiff have had a bit of a stutter so far this season. I think Blackburn, will be too strong on the day.
All right. Now, the team I fancy is Middlesbrough. I know they've got a woeful home record against Barnsley. How do you see that?
Yeah, well, Barnsley have had a bad start to the season, and there's actually some talk that the New York Red Bulls, the MLS team, are after their manager, which is sort of interesting. So they've had a bad start. As you say, Borough are really poor at home, but I think Warnock's got to get them going, and I think they probably will be too strong for Barnsley.
All right, two teams in good form. Reading against Watford, your brother's team.
Yeah, I mean, Watford have, look, you know, they haven't set the division alight, obviously, with all their injuries and issues going on, but, you know, they picked up a couple of wins. Reading have really surprised me. I mean, they've had 3 wins, good win last week, very good win last week. I think that's going to be close, you know.
Draw.
Watford don't give away goals, so I think there could be no more than about a goal in it.
I see Troy Deeney was on the bench the other day.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, he's very loyal to the club, but I just, you know, Rudder was saying, I think they really want to get some of these big wage players off the wage bill, but I'm not sure who's coming in for him. There was talk of West Brom coming in for him, but I'm not sure they are now. So I suspect if nothing happens in the next few days, he's going to stay.
Well, how old would Stevie, how old would Troy Deeney be?
It's got to be, he's over 30 now.
Yeah, over 30, yeah. Prolific scorer.
Yeah, I mean, look, and especially in the Championship, I mean, he's got a lot of goals. You know, when they were on their promotion season, him and Igalo scored a hatful of goals. Yeah. So, look, if he's still there come Monday night, then you think they want to play him because of his experience. Yeah. So,
yeah, I've watched them. They've been on twice. Defensively, they look sound. As you say, Steve, if they keep all their players.
Where's that great winger?
Sar's still there. I think he'll go, but there's several others that want to go.
Well, Delafeu, I believe, is injured.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Good player.
Again, you know, obviously, if they kept him and he's fit, you know, he could be really roasting some of the Championship defences. Sar was a player that was been linked with a lot of big clubs. He hasn't gone yet. There was talk that Liverpool were after him, and maybe they're just biding their time. But you know, very, very interesting because he was one of their players that was tipped to go right at the beginning of the window. But he's still there.
Very good player. Yeah.
I fancy them this week, Watford. Now Sheffield Wednesday disappointed last week at home against QPR.
Yeah, I mean, they were a bit disappointing. I think they'd probably still be a little bit too strong for QPR. Yeah. Again, QPR don't travel that well. You know, pretty decent at home, but I think that Sheffield Wednesday might be just a bit too strong.
Okay, and two teams that have obviously got promotion hopes. Swansea City against Millwall.
Yeah, I mean, Swansea have had a decent start, but again, they're better away than they are at home, and it seems to be the same this season as it was last. Millwall are a very hard team to beat. I mean, they haven't set the division alight, but they are, you know, they're a very rugged team. You know what you're going to get from them. A lot of effort. They'll throw a lot into the box. I think that's going to be a very tight game, but I think they've got the players, Swansea, to unlock the defence. I think that will be probably one goal in it, but I think Swansea should come out on top. All
right, Steve, we both went missing last week with our Birmingham City selection. Who are you going for this week?
I'm going to go for Blackburn Rovers.
You fancy them,
huh? They've started off well, scored 9 goals in the last 2 games. I fancy them to win. To beat
Cardiff. And your value bet, Steve?
I'm going to go for Forest. For Bristol City at Forest. I think Bristol City have had a really good start. They brought Alfie Mawson in from Fulham and made him captain. And if he stays fit, he'll do very well there. Yeah, so I fancy Bristol City. I mean, Forest, look, with the players they've got, they should be doing better. But there's a lot of unrest there at the moment. They've had a really poor start. 3 defeats on the spin. Can't afford another one, but I just think Bristol City on a bit of a roll at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I see Dean Holden's the manager. Is that the ex-Wimbledon centre forward?
Yeah.
Right.
Holdsworth.
Okay.
That's Holdsworth. Holden. This is Holden.
Okay. Now, what's Notts Forest? That manager will get fired, I think, if they don't get a result this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, they backed him. There was a lot of talk that he was going to go in the summer after they had such a poor run and missed out on the playoffs. Yeah. But they've obviously decided to back him. But as you say, 3 straight defeats. If they lose another, I think the writing will be on the wall. And the worst thing is they don't look like a team. Harry Arter left you. I think it's Colback, the other gingerhead midfield player. They don't look like a team. That's the worst thing. They had Ben Watson there last year, who despite his years, I mean, he kept that sort of midfield together, and he left as a free agent. I think he's gone to Charlton now. But there's something obviously not quite right. They sold Matty Cash. who was obviously one of their sort of
Yeah,
star
players,
defenders. But again, I'm surprised that they've started so badly. But they need to turn the corner soon.
Yeah, I think he's gone.
All right, Stevie.
Thank you.
Keep it tidy, and thanks very much. Next week we'll know everyone has done their signing, their transfers, and we'll be able to go through that.
Yeah,
Then we'll put you under pressure.
The following weekend there are no Premier League games.
That's right. Internationals,
week.
Well, let's hope you can win tonight, Steve.
Yes. Well, yeah. Tonight and Sunday would be nice.
Yeah.
I think we'll get.
Prefer Sunday.
Sunday is the key because obviously, we can pay. If we win tonight, it's fine, but it's sort of papering over the cracks if we lose another Premier League game.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll see.
All right, Steve.
Thanks, Stevie. All the best.
All the best.
Cheers.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. There's Stevie B from London. But let's get into the Premierships and we'll knock them off quickly. We've talked about a few. Well, Steve has, especially Chelsea, Crystal Palace.
Yeah, it should be Chelsea. You can't trust them, Paul.
Yeah.
I think both teams to score. It doesn't matter who's in goals. Another guy played against Spurs. He looked a lot better. So it's another, I think, of the Frenchman. Just don't trust them, Chelsea. That's correct. It was Mendy. I think Palace will score. It should be Chelsea, Paul. But you just don't know what you're going to get from them.
That's right. Palace can come up with some Zark and Jive.
They can play, Paul. They've got.
They've got
a London derby
but
early
I think Chelsea
kickoff.
have got to have more of the ball, more quality. They're at home. They're looking for a bit of a bounce back. They
I was disappointed.
They went out to the cup to Spurs. So they're going to be really. I'm strong on Chelsea, but they are short 4 to 10.
I wouldn't be taking 4 to 10, Paul.
Everton doing everything right.
Paul,
but Brighton are no mugs.
Geez, Paul, Brighton, I think unbeaten 8 away from home. It's criminal how they lost to Man United. But, Everton, it's going for them, Paul. That penalty that they got was a joke. And there could have been a penalty against them. But it's rolling for them. They played 6 games this year. League and Cup, they've won everything. So at home, 7 to 10, Paul. It does look a good bet, but they played a strong side last night.
A few questionable, but okay.
Everton in the draw. Yeah.
Man City 1 to 3.
Paul, if ever there's a team you want to play, Leeds are a nice team, Paul. They're not physical and they try and play football. I think it's the wrong team for Leeds. It's the right team for Man City to play. I think they'll bounce back, Paul. They won 3-0. Diaz, it's wake up call.
Yeah, it's wake up bounce time. Back. I agree with you. Yeah. Newcastle aren't looking good. I watched them last night. They got through on penalties. They were 1-0 down. They could have been 2-3 down.
Yeah.
They came back. They could have won it.
And they won on penalties.
They won on penalties. The last penalty was atrocious.
Yeah, hit it over the bar. It was a conversion.
And their striker missed one for Newcastle.
Yeah.
I forget his name, the boy up front. He's been a costly failure, in my opinion.
Yeah. Paul, we spoke last week about Burnley. If the two centre halves are back, Ben Mee and Tarkowski are back, I would have gone for them, but they weren't back. But Tarkowski played last night. Yeah. Newcastle have scored 3 goals. They've only had 3 shots on target the whole season, Paul. If ever a game's got draw written all over it. But there'll be a penalty, Paul, because they're both direct teams. If it hits a ball, that would be my bet in the game if you can have it. But I like the draw, Paul. 21
How about
to 10.
Leicester coming off performance
of the season, wasn't it, against Man City?
Both coming off good wins, West Ham and them.
West Ham will score, Paul. One thing about them, I think they're dodgy at the back, especially in the aerial pursuit. I like that Souček they signed from the Czech Republic.
They've just got another guy on loan too, Leicester. Got another guy.
Yeah. But, Paul, I think Leicester will win.
Yeah, okay.
Both teams to score, but Leicester should win.
Southampton, West Brom, interesting game.
Paul, I fancy Southampton. They were terrible against Spurs, but they rectified the defending against Burnley, deserved winners. Yeah. West Brom can't defend. A brilliant game forward. They're woeful.
Yeah.
Chelsea had, 20 minutes of the game, scored 3 goals. If they had another 10 minutes, they'd have scored another 3. Paul, I think Southampton at 7 to 10 is a great bet. I saw 5 to 2 Southampton to win and both teams to score. Because West Brom always looked like scoring.
Yeah, that's
right. Just a defence, they're terrible.
That's
Southampton for me,
Okay. Wolves going to bounce back?
Well, I think the best thing that happened to Wolves is they got knocked out of the League Cup and they'll have a week to prepare for this game. He would have let them have it. They were just disgraceful defending, Paul. That new left centre-half they've got gave the penalty away against Man City. Let Bowen come inside on his left foot. There's trouble in the camp. I don't know why they sold Diogo Jota to Liverpool. I know 45 million's a lot of money, but they've got big money, that club. And I just don't see Fulham, Paul. They look woeful. They don't look like they're going to score. Terrible. I feel for Stevie. It's a long season. It's got to be Wolves, Paul.
Yeah. Arsenal, Sheffield United, Arsenal at home.
Well, Arsenal play Liverpool in the League Cup tonight, and they'll more than likely rotate their players. But they have quite a deep squad, a lot of similar style players. Sheffield United can't buy a win or a goal, Paul. I fancied them on Sunday. The guy missed an absolute sitter, went the wrong side of the goal. It's not going for them. It should be Arsenal, Paul. They've improved. It won't be easy, but you've got to suspect Arsenal to win.
Man United, Liverpool, Man United, Spurs. I'm predicting a draw. Spurs will have a go.
Paul, that betting is totally wrong. Spurs cannot be 29-10 against Man United. Man United, they're a little bit harsh against Palace. We never played well. Deserve to lose again against Brighton. The Luton Town and the League Cup are not a poor side, but a struggling Championship side. We scored a couple late, and last night we never looked like doing much, Paul.
The third goal was a deflection.
The second goal was a good goal. The first goal was terrible defending. But Paul, 9-10 United. I know people. Paul, 29-10. I was going to make that my value bet of the weekend, Tottenham, but Paul, the draw is a big price. 26-10, the draw is the big price of the three, Paul. But you cannot take 9-10 Man United. No.
Liverpool will be too good for Villa.
They should be, Paul. I want to have
unbeaten,
Paul. I want to have a bet Liverpool to go through the season unbeaten. I know it's a big statement. I want to find out.
No chance.
Paul.
No
just
chance.
what I've seen in the Premiership. There's too many bad teams, too many bad defences.
You know, you've got to remember, there's a lot of games, injuries. Virgil van Dijk gets injured.
But Paul, they're
organised. They conceded 3 against the Leeds.
Yeah, but Arsenal, they were all over Arsenal.
Arsenal do blow hot and cold. Let them play.
Let's see, Paul. But
I said that I wouldn't take 10 to on them going throughout the unbeaten. No, it's too tough a league.
Yeah, I just think too many woeful teams, Paul. But anyway,
let's go Championships, Budge. We can lower you on the sides a bit. Coventry, Bournemouth.
Paul, this should be a good game. Bournemouth. Steve was on them a couple of weeks ago, and they had a look at the players. They've got a strong squad.
Yeah.
But I watched Coventry at home. Paul. I think it's 15 games they haven't lost at home. They play at St Andrews, Birmingham's ground.
Yes.
And I watched them beat QPR. Paul, they play good football.
Yeah.
I fancied them last week. They drew at Barnsley. I fancy Bournemouth of the two teams, Paul, but both teams to score there
12 to 10 is not bad, eh?
Yeah.
Norwich, how are they looking to come back up?
Yeah, they got beat. I thought they'd do well. Bournemouth beat them easily 1-0 last weekend. But Derby are woeful, haven't scored.
What is wrong with Derby? 22nd in the log.
Paul, I backed them last year to get in the promotion. They beat Preston 1-0 at deep down. I thought, here we go. Got 9-1 top 6. After that, they try and play football. Philip Cocu, the Dutchman, was there. Paul, this idea of trying to play football in the Championship doesn't work.
Yeah.
Should be Norwich all day. You just can't trust them, though.
Yeah, you can't. But Derby got to bounce back. It cannot go on
Rooney's their best player.
Rooney's their best player. He's a quality player. Blackburn are flying.
Yeah, Paul, it should be Blackburn. I think there'll be goals in this. But Cardiff are a funny team. They got to the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
But Blackburn are in form. I agree, Stevie. 12-10, not for me. But I don't see Blackburn losing. Yeah.
Luton, Wickham?
Should be. Wickham rated the poorest team in the league.
The poorest team in the league?
In the league, yeah. Gareth Ainsworth, he's the manager there. They came up via the playoffs.
They've lost all 3 and haven't scored.
Haven't scored a goal.
They've got no chance.
Should be Luton all day, Paul.
Them. Take the 7-10. Middlesbrough, Barnsley.
Paul, Middlesbrough is my best bet of the weekend. I fancy them. They played quite well. I've looked at all the stats. I like that manager, Warnock.
Yeah,
Barnsley are struggling, Paul. Can't score a goal.
Yeah.
If Middlesbrough score, they'll win, Paul. That's why I went for them 12-10. That's my bet, Paul.
Okay, Forest.
Can't have Notts Forest, Paul. Yeah, I watched them last week. There's trouble in the camp. There's too many lone players, too many foreigners. They just don't look right. Harry Arter arrived. They're just playing five-a-side football.
Didn't he go to Charlton?
He was at that's the centre half. That's the big centre half, Ben Gibson, I think his name was. But he's in the middle of the park with Colback. Bristol City have done great. Yeah, they've only lost 1 game. That was in the League Cup to Aston Villa. I've gone draw in Bristol City there. Until Forest have got players, Paul, but there's trouble in the camp. Just can't go with them.
Reading Watford will be a tough game.
Paul, I like Watford. They don't concede goals. I've watched them twice. They beat Luton, really tight at the back. They've still got most of their players. And if Troy Deeney comes back, I don't see him going anywhere, Paul. No one's going to pay a lot of money for him because if he's going to go, it's going to be West Brom. We're going to be a struggling team. Who else is going to go for him?
You should go from Spurs. You know what? We've got to have a backup striker. Yeah. You can't have a Lamela leading the line if Harry's not starting.
I just don't, he's a Mourinho type, but he would love him. But I just don't see Spurs going in and paying 25, 30 million for him.
No, loan deal.
Yeah, but they won't want him alone. They want to come straight back. I fancy Watford, Paul. If they score, they win.
All right, Rotherham, Huddersfield.
Yeah, I was impressed with Huddersfield. It was the bucket man's assistant who's taken over that team. Paul, they were impressive against Forest. They won 1-0. Rotherham don't score many goals. I think they've scored 2 goals in 3 games. They did draw at Birmingham last week. I think that's got a draw written all over it, Paul. Draw in Huddersfield Town for me.
Sheffield Wednesday?
Yeah, I fancy Sheffield Wednesday. I've watched QPR. They score goals, but they're woeful at the back.
Yeah.
So, you know, the championship is difficult, Paul. You know, you fancy them and they let you down, but I don't see Sheffield Wednesday losing.
Swansea City versus Millwall.
Yeah, I like Swansea. You know, they came to Preston, gave us a lesson. They got to the playoffs last year. I don't see them losing it, but Millwall are tough to break down, Paul. They're unbeaten this year. Done a good job, Gary Wright. Swansea in the draw for me there.
Brentford play tonight.
Brentford play the League Cup. Now, this is the only chance Preston have got. You know, we've been woeful. But in saying that, we had a player sent off in the 20th minute last week. The red card's been rescinded. The pitches of today, Paul, are too hard. Yeah, and the guy went flying into the tackle. He left his feet. He got the ball, but followed through and clattered the guy straight red. They rescinded it to a 1 match. So, but Brentford play Fulham, and after the playoff final last year, he'll be playing his best team. So, Paul, hopefully Preston, we sit fresh waiting for them, but I doubt it. I went Preston in the draw there, Paul, but both teams
Big price, Preston, 4 to 1.
Big price, yeah.
Okay, how about Stoke City, Birmingham City?
Paul, Stoke have buried us 4 weeks in a row. I've got to go. Went
them
for them,
out of
they
your
buried.
thing.
I have.
Drop them
You know,
out.
I don't see them losing to Birmingham. Birmingham, decent record away from home, but Stoke in the draw for me. And what could be a 0-0 draw? 2 well-organised teams, Paul.
Yeah, okay, let's have a look at your soccer sixes.
Yeah, Paul, kick-off, obviously. Well, they're all Saturday exotics. You know, I've thrown the draw in with 5 bankers and winning draws. I've thrown the draw in with Chelsea to avoid defeat at home against Crystal Palace. Likewise, I've gone Norwich City, win and draw at home against Derby. I don't see Watford, who haven't conceded a goal this season, losing at Reading. I've gone Brentford, win and draw at home against my beloved Preston. And I've thrown the draw in with Luton Town against Wycombe Wanderers, because I think Middlesbrough will beat Barnsley. So I've taken a chance, Paul. Banker Middlesbrough, thrown the draw and looking for a few upsets in the contest. The second one, when it goes over, I've gone Everton, win and draw at home against Brighton. I don't see Blackburn Rovers losing at home to Cardiff City. I've gone Swansea City, win and draw at home against Millwall. I've thrown the draw in Sheffield Wednesday, win and draw at home against QPR. I think Man City will be too good for Leeds.
No doubt.
And I've sided with Newcastle to avoid defeat at home against Burnley.
I'll tell you what, that's a good bet.
Yeah, Paul, you know, there's a lot of draws now, Paul.
Yeah,
so
that's a good bet,
be careful.
Okay, 10s.
On to the 10, Paul. You obviously had to find more bankers. So I banked Everton to beat Brighton. I've gone Blackburn Rovers, win and draw at home against Cardiff. Swansea City, win and draw at home against Millwall. I've sided with Bristol City to avoid defeat at Notts Forest. I've gone Huddersfield Town, win and draw at Rotherham. Brentford, win and draw at home against Preston North End. I've banked Middlesbrough to beat Barnsley. I've gone Sheffield Wednesday, win and draw at home against QPR. I've banked Man City to beat Leeds and ended with Newcastle, win and draw at home against Burnley, 256.
Okay, let's go to the big one, bud.
The big one, Paul. Yeah, I've banked Man City to beat Leeds. I've gone Everton, win and draw at home against Brighton. I've gone Newcastle, win and draw at home against Burnley. Blackburn Rovers, win and draw at home against Cardiff. I've banked Middlesbrough to beat Barnsley. I've gone Bristol City, win and draw at Nottingham Forest. I've chanced Watford to win at Reading. A second page, I've banked Sheffield Wednesday to beat QPR. I've gone Swansea City, win and draw at home against Millwall. I've gone Huddersfield Town, win and draw at Rotherham United. I've banked Luton Town to beat Wycombe Wanderers and ended up in the Swedish League. I've gone Jönköping Södra, win and draw at home against Halmstad, top of the league clash, and I've chanced Ågrad to beat RK Brage, 256.
What are these things paying now, the 13s?
Paul, the one paid a couple of million, the last one, because it's 2.8 million. So it was carry over.
Worth catching.
Yeah, it's hard to catch, Paul, but...
right, tell me about our bets.
Yeah, our bets, Paul, hoping to change the luck. Yeah, I started obviously the Premiership. I've gone Southampton to beat West Brom and both teams to score. I've gone Wolves to beat Fulham and over 2.5 goals. And I've gone over 2.5 goals in the Chelsea Crystal Palace game.
My worry there is Fulham. Unless Wolves get all 3.
Yeah, could be, Paul, but the way Fulham are defending, they're averaging 3-4 a game. So that's why I chanced that way. 2,600 to 200. Our championship, I've gone Middlesbrough to beat Barnsley. I've gone Watford to win at Reading. And I've ended up with both teams to score, Blackburn Cardiff and Brentford Preston. Nice odds, 3,000 to 200.
Yeah, that's good.
Our team goals, Paul, I've gone Arsenal, Everton, Southampton and Wolves, all to score over 1.5 goals.
Okay.
And I've gone Crystal Palace to score at Chelsea. You know, there was Chelsea on the odds. It was Chelsea to score over 2.5 goals. So I reneged on that. I thought that both teams would score, so that's why I went for Palace, 16 to 1.
Both teams
good
to
price.
score?
Yeah, I've gone Chelsea, Palace.
Agree.
Everton, Brighton.
Okay.
Leeds, Man City.
Yeah.
Leicester, West Ham, and United, Spurs, Paul. 2,700 to 200.
All right, what does that leave us with?
Yeah, leave it with my Spanish omelette. Yeah, I've gone Atletico Madrid to beat Villarreal and over 2.5 goals. I've gone Getafe to beat Real Sociedad. And I've gone both teams to score. Cadiz, Granada. Big price in the Spanish league all of a sudden, Paul. 3,800 to 200. And our Collis King 6 on Exa. I've gone Southampton to beat West Brom. I've gone Wolves to beat Fulham. Liverpool to beat Aston Villa. I've gone Middlesbrough to beat Barnsley. And ended up in Spain. Atletico Madrid to beat Villarreal. And Real Madrid to beat Levante. 3,700 to 200.
Right, Budge. Well, there we go. Some interesting football coming up. Don't forget the last one standing. It's always it opens our show. It's a talking point. It's bragging rights. A lot of my friends have already put me in my place and told me what a mug I am. I can join the Stevie B's and the Michael Aboods and the Derek Ramseys. They always go. Robbie Martin steps in first time and he gets through to this round.
He says he's got it, Paul. But
he'll be out. He'll be with but as I say, my record's top 14. That's where I've got.
Yeah,
you know, so I've never got off the bench. But Budge, until next time, stay on side.